Am I live? I'm just testing it out. I hope I am. Okay, we're just waiting for. Just want to make sure we are all good from technical standpoint. Come to the live show. Yes. See it working. Okay, it's working. Yes, it's working. Okay, great. Okay, I want to make sure. Sorry. Okay, hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. We are getting started. Just want to make sure everything is set up. Okay. Welcome to the master class, How to Stop Beating Yourself Up. 3 steps to quiet your inner critic for calm, clarity, and confidence. If we haven't met before, my name is Coco Duan. I am a former Fortune 500 senior executive turned life and leadership coach. I help high achieving executive women like you to lead powerfully and live authentically through building unshakable confidence. Okay, so today our masterclass is about this inner critic and negative self-talk. I'll have you identify yourself. And have you ever experienced following scenarios? After a high stakes meeting or presentation, you say to yourself, I should have said it better. Why did I ramble so much? When you receive constructive feedback, you say to yourself, I should have known better. Why I always mess things up? And when you are balancing work and family, when things are getting challenging, you say to yourself, I'm failing at both. Why can't I just figure it out like other women? All of those are different forms of negative talk. And it's you beating yourself up. Let me tell you, that is the number one confidence killer. And it's a silent killer. It's silent in your head. But you are not alone though. Data shows 60 to 80% of people have this kind of self-talks, and it's super common. And today you're in the right place, because today you are going to learn a powerful tool to change that for good. And it changed my life, and it can be life-changing for you. Obviously, some of you may not even aware that's going on, because I knew before I started this work, I had no idea that was what I was doing to myself. I just constantly beat myself up. But once I was aware, and then I tried different things. You may have tried these things too to change it. What do you may have tried? You just tell yourself, Like, just stop being self-critical. Or other people may have told you, hey, just stop doing that. Well, it's easy said than done. Sometimes you just can't. You don't know how to stop it. And there's another common way is that you think you can just achieve your way out of this. Meaning, if you do more, if you do better, if you do faster, then maybe this voice in your head will quiet down. That doesn't work either. Another one, a common one we all do sometimes, is that when the inner voice, this negative guard get too much, we're just exhausted from it, and we just need a break from it. We would numb. We would numb with social media, food, shopping, all different ways. How do I know? Because I used to do all of that. And today, you are going to learn a new way, a powerful practice with 3 steps, and really get to the core of this challenge. This, how do we get to the core? It's about rewire your brain and nervous system. And I'm going to teach you how to do that today. The benefit, because once you get into the core, then you're fixing this problem for good. No more band-aiding it, but more of changing it for good. So no more beating yourself up. The negative talk becomes less and less, and the inner critic becomes quiet. Once that happens, you will experience less anxiety, less stress, more motivation. Then you also will experience more calmness, more clarity, and more confidence. With that, you will have more time and energy to focus on the things truly matter to you, and also lead powerfully and live authentically. And you may ask, Coco, how do you know all of this? How do you know how to teach this? Because it's truly from my own lived experience. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because it truly changed my life. I used to be the biggest, my own biggest critic. And actually, I wasn't even aware until my coach told me, saying that, Coco, I noticed that you're so hard on yourself. I was like, really? That's what's happening? Then I started to notice all different ways that I beat myself up at work, personal life. I'm going to give you more examples. How, what I did. Probably you can relate. And then to today, I can say I'm my biggest cheerleader. More than that is that I'm my own empowering coach. And I rarely have those noise anymore. I rarely have that kind of voice. My voice to myself is kind, it's encouraging, and it's supportive. With that, no more rumination, no more dwelling on the past, because really, when you beat yourself up, what happens is that you are dwelling on the past. It's something you did already, you cannot change it. The key is that you need to focus on the present, what you learn from it, and then move forward. I just feel I learn so much faster, and I move on quicker. With that, I feel light, I feel free, I have more energy to really focus on how to do better next time. It's like double benefit, right? One is know this stress, anxiety, and draining energy on one side, and then the other side is now have more energy to actually improve and do better. So it's incredible. Today's masterclass, the format is the first 45 minutes. I'm going to teach you this incredible practice. Then last 15 minutes, I'm going to give you time to answer any questions that you may have. Sounds good? Okay, great. So as I mentioned earlier, there's so many different ways that you beat yourself up, and these negative talks show up in various different ways. There's right, high stake meetings, when you make a mistake, can be just really innocent mistake, and then you would say to yourself, how could I let that happen? I'm so disappointed with myself. Or when you are not chosen for a promotion or project, then you think to yourself, maybe I'm just not good enough. Or sometimes when you feel or express your emotions, I hear this all the time from my clients. They say, oh, I shouldn't have felt that way. Oh, I shouldn't have felt upset. Oh, I shouldn't have felt frustrated. And oh, I shouldn't have cried. It's like shooting yourself. It's blaming yourself for the natural response you have. All of that. What happens when you do that is you feel bad about yourself and you ruminate it for hours, if not days sometimes. And this beating yourself up so much, it is actually shaming yourself. And then when you ruminate, you are stuck in a shame spiral. With that, you feel mentally exhausted. How do I know? Because I experienced all of that. I'll give you two examples. One, I remember vividly, both actual stories. One was at my last corporate job. I we would meet with the CEO once a month for business review. So that's a very high stakes meeting. And first of all, going to a meeting, I always felt very nervous and sweaty palms, racing hearts, already high stress. And after the meeting, so usually in the meeting, I felt like, I always get pretty positive feedback about, oh, you did really well, you really know about your business and all of that. But every single time after the meeting, I would always find one or two things that I could have done better. And I was like, I miss that. I should have used that data point. I forgot to say it. Oh, I should have phrased it differently. And I would think about that, just a couple mistakes or things I could have done better for hours. I remember I would just be so exhausted from thinking about that thing over and over. So that is one scenario at work. And the other one was personal. So there was about 3 years ago, I was driving scooter. So I had a scooter, and on a rainy day, the ground was wet, and I was at this intersection. The light was about to turn from orange to red. I decided I was going to just racing through, right? But then at the last minute, I decided to stop, and I pressed the back brake first before I pressed no, I pressed the front brake first before I pressed the back brake. You know what happens when you're in a high speed vehicle and you press the front brake? So literally the scooter flipped over and threw me out, and then guess what? It landed on my left knee and broke a ligament and a toe. It was excruciating. It took me months to recover from that. But what happening was, after the incident, I felt so bad about myself. I was like beating myself up like crazy for days. I was like, Coco, oh my gosh, how could I have done that? What a stupid mistake. Look at now. You couldn't even walk. Like that just played in my head days and days. And I want to use a metaphor. It's That's the second arrow. So there's the first arrow, you got shot, right? That's basically the mistake or the things you could have done differently, done better. that already causes pain. And sometimes emotional pain, sometimes physical pain, right, already happened. The second arrow is this negative talk on top of that. And it causes even more emotional pain. That what happens is that we are self-inflicting even more pain on top of the pain. So imagine how draining that is. Just exhausting. Now you may wonder, why do we do this? What's going on here? And it's not mystery and it's not who we are. There's science behind it. There's biology and psychology behind this behavior pattern that we have. So two things going on here. The first psychological thing going on, it's actually biology and evolution as well. It's called negativity bias. We have this building as human species. We have this building negativity bias. What is negativity bias is that we tend to focus on, all things being equal, we tend to focus on negative signals than positive signals for survival reason. Just imagine our ancestors, hundreds of thousands of years ago, they are out hunting, right? Walking around and then the next to the bush, and they hear this noise coming from the bush. And in that moment, that split of a second, they have a decision to make. They say, okay, they're assuming, oh, you know what? Maybe a tiger in the wild, it can be dangerous, maybe a tiger. So they just like run as fast as they can, run away. And then they turn around and like look, oh, you know what? It's not a tiger, it's a deer. Okay, well, a little bit wasted calories, but no big deal. But the other way around, think about it. If they think it's a deer, they're like, well, maybe just a deer, no problem. Let's just chill, relax. We don't need to run. But it turns out to be a tiger. What happens? They will be eaten by that tiger. So that's why we'd rather, if we miss a positive signal, no big deal. But if we miss a negative signal, it can be fatal and we will be in danger. So that's really our evolution psychology, and it's still deeply, deeply wired into us. So that's why we always tend to pay more attention to negative things. So that's one behind why we always have this negative tendency. Then the second one is even more important, is that this negative voice, the negative talk that we have, is not built into us. It's not intrinsic. We are not born with it. And this is a learned behavior. It's an internalized external voice. I just want you to imagine, to think about babies for a second. Even you may not have had babies. I don't have babies, but I have had experience with babies. So if you look at babies, do you think they ever think they're too much, they're not good enough, they shouldn't cry? None of that. When they need something, they cry. They don't care what you're doing. Right? When they're hungry, they cry. When they're scared, they cry. When they need sleep, they cry. When they want to wake up, when you're not around them, they cry. They fully express themselves. They're not worried about what other people think of them. And then when they so-called make a mistake, which is natural human behavior, let's say they poo in their diapers or spill over the milk and food or got all messy or dirty, they don't think to themselves, oh my gosh, how, oh my gosh, why, what's this happening? Oh, I shouldn't have done this. No, none of that. They don't care. They're just like, you clean me up. That's who I am. They don't have any of those negative self-talk. They feel free to be themselves, express their needs, do whatever they need to do. That's our intrinsic human. But then guess what? As we grow older, grow up, and then the adults in our lives, the way they talk to us, we internalize those voice. Then it becomes the way we talk to ourselves. We learned it. The good news is, since we learned it, then we can unlearn it. But you need to understand how you learned it. So I'll tell you two personal stories that I have, how I learned it, the environment that I grew up in. I grew up in a very critical environment. So I vividly remember two incidences from my childhood, but that's just a representation of what happened. So once was, I probably was about 5 years old, because every summer I would spend the whole summer with my grandma. And one day, me, my brother, my cousin, we were just having so much fun, running, chasing each other. I got carried away and I didn't pay attention to the street. So I crossed this street in front of the house, and right in front of the house, there was a big slope. And while I was running across, there was a big bicycle, a big guy on a big bicycle just come racing down and hit me so hard, sent me a few feet away. And I was covered in all like dust, blood, and bruises everywhere. Thank God it didn't break anything, but it was so painful. I was completely in shock. And while I was crying and hoping someone to comfort me, my grandma came over and yelled at me. Say, Coco, I told you not to cross the street like that. I told you to pay attention. You don't listen. Now look at this. What a mess. I, even today, 40 years later, I still remember how bad I felt about myself. It's just the shame. And, it's not just the physical pain, actually, the pain from the words that I heard from my grandma that was even more painful. So that was one instance. Another one was, I was first grade. I really couldn't care less about studying and academics, none of that. I just wanted to have fun. But my parents really pushed me to try harder. So one day, I did really well on a math test. I scored 97 out of 100, third best in my class. I was so proud of myself. I was so excited. So I just like ran home and she wanted to share the great news with my mom. I'm like, Mom, look at this. I scored 97 out of 100. I'm the third best in my class. And my mom, she barely even looked up, say, Coco, there's nothing to be proud of being third place. If you want to be proud, you either be number one or you get perfect score. I also remember how when I heard that word or those words, how it made me feel. I just felt so disappointed and also frustrated. It's like, how could I never be good enough? That just developed all right. Two incidences. Obviously, there's so many more, but as it just illustrate the points. Obviously, it didn't happen just once or twice. That was the pattern how the adults in my life treated me obviously didn't know better, but still had a huge impact on me. It really shaped how I think about myself and how I talk to myself. Because ultimately, the reason why we internalize that external voice, it's a survival mechanism. Because in that kind of environment, in that kind of critical environment, we need to adapt. So it's a very intelligent adaptive strategy. When it's this adaptive child, which is the critical inner voice, is really try to keep you safe. Because subconsciously, we believe if I criticize myself first, then I can avoid rejection or punishment from others. And the other one is it gives you a sense of control in this chaotic and high pressure environment. The same thing, subconsciously, you would think, oh, if I'm hard on myself, then I won't make mistakes. So, in many ways, the critical inner voice, this inner critic, it's trying to protect you from rejection, from punishment, from hurt, so that you can get the care and the love from the adults in your life. Think about that for a second. So, with that, don't judge it, right? A lot of times we even judge the inner judge that we have. And in this case, you want to show compassion for that part of you because that part of you has been trying to protect you. And the other thing to realize is that because you've been operating this way for so many years, and it becomes part of this automatic response. It is completely automatic, and you sometimes don't even realize you're doing it. As I said before, I started working on this issue, this challenge. I wasn't even aware that was what I was doing to myself until my coach pointed out to me. And it was completely just autopilot. So the first step, which you are already doing now, is coming to this masterclass and learning about this and started to, you probably already have awareness. That's why you come to the class, which is you're already one step ahead. But sometimes you probably don't even realize you're doing more than you even realize. So that's the thing. It's like, okay, be aware of that. So why this is it's actually not a good thing. Why this is not good? It's really for you to understand how our biology works, how our biology and psychology works. Is that we think it's a way, or our subconscious mind think it's a way to keep us safe, in control, and even motivate yourself. But in reality, it's opposite. Because when you criticize yourself, when you beat yourself up, it actually is a form of self-attack. Right? Think about it. Say, how stupid, you shouldn't have done that. How could you have done? You should have said this. You shouldn't have said that. Blah blah blah. It's all a form of verbal attack. And when we hear this attack and our nervous system interprets as a threat, danger, it almost feels like, oh, there's a danger in the bush. We need to run away from the danger. So it causes this stress response called flight or fight. Meaning when you have a danger in front of you, have a tiger in front of you, you have two choices to keep you alive to survive. You either run away as fast as you can. The other one is you confront it, you fight it. So either way uses a lot of energy. It activates, it mobilizes your nervous system. You feel your heart race, your muscle tense, your thoughts spinning, and you cannot think clearly, and just like even sweaty palms. All of that are the flight and fight stress response. And you may not even realize that's happening, but next time pay attention. When you beat yourself up, you feel probably your body is tense. That's what's happening. And another thing is, if you keep doing this for long enough and have chronic negative self-talk, then your system is going to shut down altogether. Because how long you can run away from the danger? How long you can run away from the tiger? You can't. You don't have enough energy to keep running. Keep running. You can't. That's why sometimes when you ruminate for hours, later you feel exhausted. You just go numb. I just completely disconnect and just want to go hiding. Just want to go hide under the bed. That's what it's actually happening in our body and in our brain. Our brain, when this stress response is activated, fight or flight, or this shutdown response, guess what? The executive function, prefrontal cortex, that's the part of the brain we need to actually problem solve, to think, to learn, and completely shuts down. You cannot be at the same time. You either in this stress response or you have executive function. One activates, the other shuts down. So that's why when you're beating yourself, it's like you don't have the capacity to stay calm, have the clarity, and be confident. But what you want to do instead is that you want to change it to the other way. You want to, rather than see it as a danger, you are attacking yourself. You want to create an internal safety. You want to feel safe. Once you feel safe, then you can stay calm. You will have the clarity. Then you will have the confidence. And then your executive function will come online. From there, you are able to feel more motivated, think clearly. You have the capacity to problem solve, to actually learn from the mistakes and setbacks faster. That will actually improve your motivation and performance. It's how incredible. So many of us thought, oh, if I beat myself up, actually will motivate me. Actually, it's completely the opposite. So you want to move from danger, feeling danger, self-attack, threat, danger, to safety. From this protection mode to connection mode. That's the work. And you will learn how to do that very shortly. So that's why the things you may have tried before that didn't work. If you just tell yourself, just stop it. Your nervous system, your brain wouldn't listen to that because you haven't addressed the core. If you want to achieve, no, it wouldn't work either. And numbing with social media, food and shopping, all of that, it's a temporary relief. It doesn't give you the actual fundamental, solution. What will work instead? It is one is not focused on external. It's really focused on this internal state. You want to change how you talk to yourself. Simple as that. Really change how you talk to yourself from being harsh, critical to kind. You want to talk to yourself with kindness and create this internal safety. This practice, this tool is called self compassion. Self compassion. I remember I heard about this term many, many years ago. I completely dismissed it. I was like, what stuff? What do you mean self compassion? Once I truly learned about this, it's one of the most powerful thing ever. Absolutely. I wish everybody can learn this because, as I said, it's truly life changing for me. How do you practice self compassion? Talk to yourself in a kind way. First is 3P. The framework is a 3P framework. The first P is pause. Pause the judgment. The negative talk, inner critic, it's a judgment. It's a judgment. You pass it on yourself. So you want to stop that. You want to pause that judgment. It's really about stop this automatic pattern and have more awareness of what's going on here. Catch yourself when that happens. Catch that. Once you catch that, then you create a space between this trigger and the response. Then that's where the freedom lies. The more you practice catching yourself, the easier to catch. Sometimes at the beginning, sometimes you don't even catch every single situation. Sometimes other people have to give you feedback, say, hey, why are you so hard on yourself? But once you do that more and more often, then you are able to catch yourself when you do that. So first step is pause the judgment, have this sacred pause. Then the second P is pivot to kindness. What I want you to remember is this key phrase I'm going to tell you now. When you talk to yourself, you want to talk to yourself like a good friend, not a bully. Just imagine when something happened. Let's say you made a mistake in a high stakes meeting. It's the meeting that I had with the CEO. And let's say I misquoted a data point. The usual way you would talk is the harsh way. I cannot believe I messed that up. Everyone must think I'm incompetent. Okay, now, well, okay, catch yourself. Wow, you're being negative right now. You're being very self-critical right now. That's not very helpful. Now, let me think. If a good friend of mine is in exact same situation, how would I talk to her? I would not say, cannot believe you messed that up. People would think you're incompetent. No, you would not say that at all because it's completely out of proportion given what's going on. You would say to her, like, hey, you are a human. All human beings make mistakes. It's no big deal. This one moment doesn't define you. And you can learn from this and move forward. Or so that one mistake, guess what? Probably most people didn't even pay attention. And that's the truth. So you want to say exactly that way to yourself. Say, hey, I'm a human. Human beings make mistakes. And it's normal. I know I feel bad, but that one moment doesn't define me. And I learn from this and move forward. Think about it. Right? Why you would not if you would not say those harsh things to your friends and to your kids and to your partners, why would you say it to yourself? You deserve the same kindness. You deserve the same respect. And then you are with you 24/7. So you need to be the one that really, really kind to yourself. As I said earlier, otherwise you're just like constantly attacking yourself and draining your energy. So that's the second P, pivot to kindness. The last one is essential, which is practice until it's yours. Just like the current inner critic voice that you have, it's coming from repetition. It's coming from all the years of programming into your how your parents, adults in your life talk to you for years and years of repetition. And you need to change that. You can change that also through repetition. And the good news is it doesn't take years. For me, I think it just took months. Practice consistently, weeks, months, and you will see the huge difference. It takes intention. Obviously, this is something you need to pay attention to. You need to really determine to change this, and you can just repeat over and over the 3 steps. First, pause the judgment and create that space. Stop this automatic pattern. Second is pivot to kindness. Talk to yourself like you would to a good friend. Lastly, practice. Practice, you will get better and better. And this is a muscle. I like to use this metaphor so much because so much is about building this mental muscle that we never had. And with that, let me tell you, it's life changing. I'm not exaggerating because it changed my life. Because this process, it works because it get to the root. It get to the biological, psychological root of this behavior pattern. The process is about rewire your brain and reshape your nervous system. Once you do that, and you will feel safe. Once you feel safe within, you will feel calm. You are able to think clearly. Then you have more clarity. Once you break this shame loop, you bounce back faster. It helps give you more motivation, improve your performance. And you also show up more confident. With that, you have more time and energy and peace of mind. And now you become a calmer, clearer, and more confident version of you. With the better news is that it also actually helps improve relationships. Because when you become less judgmental toward yourself, you also become less judgmental toward others. Once you are more self-compassionate, you also become more self-compassionate toward others because you understand the humanity. Because most people struggle with the same challenge. With that, you become a more grounded and connected leader. Because that's what happened to me. And now I am calmer, clearer, confident, more confident than ever. And changing this inner voice that I have from inner critic to this, how to say, empowering coach for myself is one of the biggest game changers. And I encourage you to take the learning today and practice. That's the key. It's not just learning about this intellectually, then things will change. It will not. You don't just want to acquire knowledge, you want to acquire the skills. The skills is by going to the gym, almost like going to the gym and exercise this muscle every day, lifting the weight, lifting small, like lightweight first, and go heavier, heavier, heavier. And one day you are going to be so strong because your inner voice is going to be a strong, empowering voice. So kind, supportive, and motivating. Wonderful. So that's the masterclass portion of this live streaming. I hope you find it super helpful. Before we get into the Q&A section, and I just wanted to share with the other ways you can work with me and really help you to transform, to build your unshakable confidence. So being self-critical is really just one of the confidence killers. There's many others ways, the behavior patterns that we sabotage, that you may sabotage your confidence. Perfectionism, people pleasing, the overachieving tendencies, no boundaries, all of that are quietly and silently sabotaging your confidence that you may not even aware. And if you want to get to the root to all of them and transform from someone who still secretly doubt yourself to someone truly have unshakable confidence so that you can lead powerfully and live authentically, that you don't worry about what other people think of you. And I want to invite you to take the next step with me. I work with high achieving women like you inside my 3 months one-on-one VIP coaching program. I take you step by step to help you to fundamentally rewire your brain and nervous system to drastically transform your self-doubt from self-doubt to unshakable confidence. And taken everything I've learned in the last 4 years of my own transformation journey and also my coaching experience, coaching more than a few dozens of clients. So my long way, my long road becomes your shortcut. And in this 3 months program, you will be laser focused and accelerated to help you get incredible results in just 3 months. With that, as I said, you're no more worrying about what other people think of you, and you can really truly lead and live from your own truth. And that is just so liberating. And I know coaching is an investment, and you might be wondering, would this work for me? That's why the next step is very simple. Let's just have a conversation. I offer a free 45 minutes consultation. This call is not a sales call, it's a clarity call. I'll help you to understand where you are now, where you want to be, get clear on the gap. I'll map out a personalized game plan for you. With that, we'll see if this program is a right fit for you. And if it's the right fit, we decide to work together. Fantastic. I'm just super excited to support you on this journey. But if not, you will walk away with powerful insights to move forward. Either way, it's going to be a really empowering session for you. You can book the free call now. You can DM me, just DM me, and we'll schedule a time. And also, I'll send the link, the scheduling link in the chat. So you can look at it later. Well, you can check. You can schedule it now. You can use it now. Anyhow, I thank you for joining, and I love to support you on your next step on this journey, on the growth journey, and let's chat. With that, I'm going to open up to see what questions do you have. Actually, I need to, you can put your question in the comments. Sorry, I'm not able to. Let me see if I can actually go to the events. Sorry. Oh shit. Then go live. What the fuck? Sorry. Okay, so that's it for today's masterclass. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time.